Beginning again. Now came the great moment for which all in the ark had been waiting so long. The opening of the great door that God had closed. No doubt, Noah and his 3 sons tried to roll it back. At last it creaked open, as if moved by the same mighty hand that had closed it. How glad everybody must have been to step outside and breathe the sweet, fresh air again. So thankful was Noah for the way God had saved him and his family from the flood, that the very first thing he did as he went ashore was to build an altar and offer in sacrifice upon it at least one of every clean beast and of every clean fowl. And that was a real sacrifice just then, when the only animals in the whole wide world were those he had brought with him in the ark. God was so pleased that Noah had remembered to say thank you for his deliverance, that he said, "I will not again curse the ground any more, while the earth remaineth. Seed time and harvest, and cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease." Now, at God's command, all the other birds and beasts were released. What a sight that must have been! What a whirring of wings as great eagles, storks, herons, and flamingos leaped into the air and flew out to freedom, with robins, sparrows, thrushes, and linnets fluttering and hopping along behind them. How the nightingales must have trilled, and the blackbirds have squawked, and the mockingbirds have sung everybody's song at once in that moment of glad liberation. Lions and tigers, buffaloes and hippos, elephants and giraffes, sheep and goats, dogs and cats hurried through the great doorway, jostling one another as they bounded down the ramp in their eagerness to get out in the open again. And what a noise they must have made as each one sounded forth his joy, the lions roaring, the elephants trumpeting, the horses neighing, the oxen lowing, the donkeys braying, and all the little dogs barking their loudest. Many of the animals disappeared at once, racing down the mountainside till they were out of sight. Others stayed around, liking human companionship, and Noah may well have wondered what he would do with so many if they continued to stay near the ark. But 2 by 2 and group by group they began to move away, wandering north, south, east, and west, seeking food and shelter. At last, only some of the cows, sheep, goats, and, of course, the little dogs and cats were left. Meanwhile, Noah and his family were looking around at the wild-looking place to which the ark had brought them. It was a sad sight that met their gaze. Everywhere was wreckage and ruin caused by the raging waters. Great trees lay uprooted. Lovely hills had been swept clean of soil, leaving nothing but bare rock. Mountains had become scarred and jagged. Once fruitful plains were deserts. Not a single human dwelling was to be seen anywhere. Of all the beautiful homes they remembered, not a trace remained. All had been smashed to matchwood by the towering tidal waves that had swept over everything when the flood began. It was enough to break their hearts. As they stood there viewing the desolate scene, they felt the earth shake under them, for there must have been many a quake as the earth settled after the great eruptions, when all the fountains of the great deep were broken up. No doubt they felt afraid and lonely on that shuddering mountainside. Well may they have wondered what terrible thing was going to happen next. Then, of a sudden, Noah looked upward, and there in the sky he saw something he had never seen before. As though trying to encircle the ruined earth with arms of love was a glorious, glowing arch of many colors. Scarce daring to breathe, they all stood looking at it, struck dumb with amazement. What was it? What could it mean? It was the first rainbow. And as they watched in wonderment, God drew near and said, I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth. And it shall come to pass, when I bring a cloud over the earth, that the bow shall be seen in the cloud, and I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you, and every living creature of all flesh, and the waters shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. And the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, that I may remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth. It was God's way of saying, I have not forgotten you, nor shall I ever forget you, or my promises to you. When you see the rainbow, and I see the rainbow, we will remember each other. Only a God of love could have thought of speaking to his children in such a way at such a time. Having lost everything, money, home, all save life itself and what they had brought with them in the ark, these poor homeless pilgrims surely needed a message of comfort and hope such as this. But now, their hearts cheered, their courage renewed, they told themselves again that all would be well at last. How good to know that God was still with them, that God still loved them. And so, hand in hand with him, they went forth through the shining arch above them to build a new world with him.